Imagine waking up tomorrow and seeing $1 million in your account. What is your first thought? Happiness, freedom, dreams coming true? Now imagine the opposite. You have lost everything except what you have today. Your home, your belongings, even part of your income. Would there be room for joy in such a life? It sounds like a challenge, doesn't it? But it's a question we often ignore, even though the answer to it can turn our ideas about happiness upside down. It's surprising how many people associate happiness only with the amount of money. At the same time, we hear about millionaires who wake up every day with a feeling of emptiness, struggle with depression, and cannot find the meaning of life. And somewhere in a village or a small town, a person with a minimum income smiles, enjoying the sun, family, or a simple dinner. What makes them so different? This question was asked by the Stoics thousands of years ago, and their answers are still relevant today. Today we will dive into the search for the answer. How much money do you need to be happy? How do people at the top of financial success and those who live a simple life feel? We often associate money with happiness because from childhood we are taught that success and wealth are the key to a better life. From a very young age, we accept the idea that the more money we earn, the more chances we have for happiness. Advertisements, movies, TV shows, social networks. All these factors form the belief in our minds that wealth can bring joy and satisfaction. But is it really true? Is there an unbreakable link between money and happiness? If money can really make us happy, why then do many people who have everything struggle with depression and feelings of emptiness? From childhood, we absorb the idea that money is not just a tool to cover basic needs, but a real symbol of success. We see examples of people who are respected and admired for their financial achievements. Wealthy, famous people who publicly demonstrate their wealth seem to us to be an ideal to strive for. There are billionaires in the world who own luxurious mansions, fly in private jets, and constantly post photos of their exotic travels. Their lives seem carefree and perfect, so a logical question arises. Why can't I get the same and be as happy? In addition, social media has become a powerful channel through which we perceive reality. Most of us subconsciously compare our lives with the lives of other people because the networks are literally full of pictures of wealth. Expensive cars, luxury villas, yachting, and traveling to tropical countries. Perhaps someone sees these images and thinks, "That's what I need to be happy." However, if you look at it from the other side, you can see how these ideals influence our attitude to money. We begin to perceive it not only as a tool to meet basic needs, but also as a means to achieve happiness and social recognition. Marketing and advertising play a huge role in this. Every time we watch an advertisement, we are subconsciously told, "This product will make your life better and therefore make you happier." How often do we hear in advertisements, "If you buy this phone, your life will change for the better. This car is for successful people who know how to enjoy life." And it works because the brain perceives these messages on an emotional level, creating the idea that purchases can solve our problems. But the interesting thing is that it actually works only for a short time. After buying a new phone or car, we get a sense of satisfaction, but this feeling quickly disappears, and a new impulse of desire takes its place. And so this cycle repeats over and over again. Why is this so? Because we stop getting real pleasure from new purchases and strive for even bigger and more expensive things. This phenomenon is called consumer minimalism, an endless pursuit of more material goods that does not bring lasting happiness. The feeling of joy we experience from a purchase is only temporary. A new thing doesn't change our inner state, it only gives us an emotional boost that quickly disappears when we get used to it. Why? Because true happiness does not depend on the things we own. If the concept of more money, more happiness doesn't work, then what can actually make us happy? Is there any alternative that doesn't involve buying more and more stuff? The Stoics, ancient philosophers who learned from their own experience, searched for answers to these questions for a long time and came to the conclusion that happiness does not depend on external factors such as money. They believe that true happiness lies in the inner state, not in what we have or what other people or material goods can give us. The Stoics said that we must learn to be content with what we have and not let external factors determine our inner perception of life. They argued that a free person is not one who has a lot of money, but one who knows how to manage his desires and emotions. Marcus Aurelius, one of the most famous Stoics, wrote, "True wealth is not what you have, but how you treat what you have." In other words, it's not how much money you have that matters, but how you treat what it can give you. If you are attached to money and constantly strive for more, it only creates stress and anxiety because you will always be afraid of losing it. Therefore, the Stoics believed that it was more important to learn to understand what was really necessary for life and what was just a temporary desire that could be ignored. From the perspective of Stoicism, happiness is an inner harmony that we can achieve even in the absence of wealth. It is a connection with ourselves, the ability to manage our emotions, desires, and expectations. Therefore, when we talk about money and happiness, we must remember that money is only a tool, not a goal. And even if it can make our lives easier in material terms, it cannot give us true inner satisfaction if we do not know how to appreciate what we already have. If you want to truly find happiness, focus on what you can change in your inner world. Learn to be grateful for what you have. And don't run after something that can only give you temporary joy. And no matter how much we strive for wealth, remember that true happiness is not what we have in our wallet, but what we carry in our hearts. Stoicism emphasizes that happiness and inner peace do not depend on external factors, but, above all, on how we perceive and respond to these factors. It teaches that our inner self should not be dependent on material goods, money, or status. All of these are external, temporary, and impermanent, so they cannot be a measure of our happiness or inner well-being. The Stoics believe that true happiness lies not in the possession of wealth, but in the ability to remain calm and joyful regardless of what is happening around us. They taught that money is important, but only as a tool to meet basic life needs, not as a goal. The Stoics' views on money are quite different from the way we usually perceive this issue in the modern world. In our society, money is often seen as a symbol of success, prosperity, and happiness. This is no coincidence, as advertising, social media, and cultural stereotypes constantly impose on us the idea that more money and material possessions will give us a sense of satisfaction, joy, and even status. However, Stoics such as Seneca, Epictetus, and Marcus Aurelius were convinced that this was a false understanding of happiness. They believed that money is just a tool necessary to meet basic needs, but that its presence should not determine our inner state. In his writings, Seneca often emphasized that true wealth is not measured by the amount of money, but by the ability to find pleasure in the small. He wrote, "He is rich who is content with little." This means that a person who can be happy with what they have is already rich, even if their material resources are limited. For Seneca, it was not how much money a person earned that mattered, but how they treated what they had. This is a Stoic idea that emphasizes self-sufficiency and inner peace rather than external achievements or status. According to Stoicism, money can provide some comfort and help solve everyday problems such as food, shelter, clothing, and healthcare, but it cannot buy true happiness. The Stoics believed that it was more important to focus on spiritual values, such as intelligence, self-control, honesty, and inner peace, than on outer wealth. This means that even if you don't have a lot of capital, you can still be happy if you manage to maintain your inner balance, even in the face of hardship and lack. The Stoics insisted that true prosperity is not about having a lot, but about having enough to satisfy basic needs and have inner peace. They believed that understanding this was the key to true freedom and happiness. Giving up what is superfluous and focusing on what is necessary avoids the continuous pursuit of material goods, which can lead to dissatisfaction and disappointment. They taught that you have to learn to live with what you have and be grateful for it. Only then can you find peace and satisfaction, no matter how much money you have. Stoicism calls for self-determination and independence from external factors. In his writings, Marcus Aurelius wrote, "It is not what happens to you that matters, but how you react to it." This means that we choose how we treat our life circumstances. If we tie our happiness to money and material possessions, we find ourselves trapped in a state of constant uncertainty. After all, money can disappear at any time, due to economic crises, financial losses, or even an accident. Therefore, it is important to learn to live without dependence on these variables and focus on what depends on us. There is an important idea in Stoicism that goes like this: do not seek happiness in external things. The Stoics believe that our happiness depends on how we relate to the world, how we respond to difficulties, and how we learn to cope with failure. If we live our lives focusing only on material achievements, then our happiness will always depend on external circumstances, which makes us vulnerable and insecure. It is better to focus on internal qualities such as kindness, wisdom, honesty, and commitment to one's principles, which allows one to remain calm and balanced in any situation. The modern application of Stoic principles can be very useful. In an era when material consumption has become one of the main values, the philosophy of Stoicism can help to find a balance. In today's world, it is important to be able to distinguish between true needs and temporary desires. Many of us can feel happy if we stop constantly striving for more money, more things, more status. The Stoics teach us to understand that satisfaction from life does not come through the possession of material things, but through inner satisfaction from what we have and our attitude to life in general. This means that a modern person can take a Stoic approach, accepting limitations and learning to be satisfied with what they have. It is important to understand that achievement does not always lead to happiness, and that true peace and satisfaction do not come from the number of things, but from the ability to be grateful for what you already have. The ability to find pleasure in the simple and to abandon excesses is the path to inner peace, to the very abundance that the Stoics so much sought. Today, when we are constantly influenced by social media and advertising, urging us to buy more and more, the Stoic approach can be a great tool to keep our minds clear and not lose ourselves in the pursuit of material achievements. To find your balance between material needs and inner peace, it's important to start by identifying what you really need. The first thing to do is to divide your needs into two categories: basic needs and wants. Basic needs are those that are essential for your physical and mental well-being, such as food, shelter, medical care, and clothing. These things are really important to keep you alive and comfortable. They are not always big or expensive, but without them, you will not be able to function at the proper level. Desires are all the things we want, but that are not critically necessary for life. It's a new phone, a luxury car, or the latest fashion trend. Stoicism teaches that it is important to be clear about which needs are real and vital, and which are just temporary desires that can distract us from important things. The second step is to focus on control. Stoicism gives us a powerful tool to manage our desires and attitudes towards material goods. Instead of constantly striving for more, we have to recognize that some things are out of our control. We can't always earn more, get promoted, or change our external circumstances, but we can control our attitude toward it. The Stoics taught that we should focus only on what we can change: our actions, our attitude to the world, our decisions. Therefore, instead of constantly striving for greater financial achievements, we should learn to be satisfied with what we have and accept the situation when circumstances do not allow us to achieve what we want. An important step towards finding inner balance is to value intangibles: time, health, relationships with loved ones. These aspects of life can bring much more joy and satisfaction than money. When we place too much emphasis on material wealth, we risk losing the most valuable thing: the time we could spend with family, friends, or just being alone with ourselves. Health is another important aspect, because without it, all the money in the world will not bring happiness. Stoicism teaches us that the true value of life is not how much we have, but how we use what we have and how we value the intangibles that are really important. Look at the examples of people who have already found their balance and live by these principles. For example, many Stoics and philosophers who advocate the ideas of self-sufficiency and inner peace live in simple conditions, with a minimum of material goods, but they find great joy in every moment of their lives. They value the time they spend with family and friends, the health that allows them to live their lives to the fullest, and the inner peace that gives them confidence that their lives have meaning, even if they do not have many material possessions. Living in harmony with the principles of Stoicism does not mean giving up all material goods, but it does mean not letting them determine our happiness. It means being satisfied with what you have, appreciating the intangible aspects of life, and focusing on what is truly important for your inner peace. Marcus Aurelius aptly said, "The best wealth is simplicity." These words remind us that true freedom and happiness are not found in an excess of material goods, but in the ability to find joy in simple things. Life should not be a pursuit of more. It should be a search for inner balance and satisfaction from what you already have. Your ability to live in abundance and harmony with yourself depends on your attitude to life, not on how much money you have. I encourage you to think about this. Leave a comment below the video and share your thoughts. Have you found your balance yet? How much money do you think you need to be happy? Maybe you see happiness in simple moments or in relationships rather than in material achievements. Your experience is important to all of us. And here's another little exercise for you. Make a list of what brings you true happiness. Maybe it's health, family, moments of peace, hobbies, or just the realization that you are living in harmony with yourself. Think about what you can appreciate more in each day and how you can make your life more satisfying and balanced. Thank you for watching, and see you soon.